Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empower Hour with KB. My name is Kristen Brown, and today we're going to be diving into a really fun topic. I know I say that about all my topics, but I will tell you that I geek out about this stuff. I get really excited about this stuff because I know how much that it will change our life. And today's talk was inspired by a pretty long conversation that my husband and I had last night that was inspired by an interview that I began. I didn't finish it because I thought, I want to save this interview for when my husband can watch it with me. But it was an interview on, I'm not sure which podcast. I think it was Lewis Howes, and it was Rhonda Byrne, and she is the writer of The Secret. She also created the movie The Secret. I watched about 15 minutes of it, and then I wanted to save it to watch it with my husband. It started us on a conversation about managing our thoughts and managing our mind, which we have been talking about probably for the past 10 days or so, about how the mind controls our body and controls our actions, and the way that we think is always going to dictate the way that we show up in the world. And so learning to manage our mind is a really, really important practice that we can put into place on our path of reclaiming our personal power and attracting and creating the life and relationships of our dreams. I have been working on practicing, playing with managing my mind for many, many, many years now. And it's something that it's a tool that I have to pull out of the toolbox repeatedly because my mind does things. It starts to go down little rabbit holes. It starts to think disempowering thoughts. And oftentimes they are really subtle and silent. They just kind of pass by like do, sort of walking by. I'm right here, but don't really look at me. Don't really pay attention, but I'm going to try to control your life a little bit. And it isn't until I start to feel some lower dense emotions that I am alerted that, what's going on up in my noggin? What is my brain doing? So the brain is going to draw upon past experiences in our life. It's going to tell a story about those past experiences, and then it's going to replay those experiences over and over again, or moreover, the belief that came from those experiences. So we might have had some not fun experiences that could have even been traumatic, capital T or lower T, traumatic, and it then starts to replay those things in our mind because the brain's job is to protect us. But the problem is that an unmanaged mind can lead us to some pretty dark places. It can lead us to depression. It can lead us to anxiety. It can lead us to stuckness. It can lead us to overwhelm. It can lead us to isolation. It can lead us to a lot of things in our life that are not serving us whatsoever. So learning to manage the mind is a huge part of what I believe is the empowerment journey, is when we are returning back to the self and really becoming the best version of us. But first, we need to recognize that we're in this space. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I would love to see a show of emojis if you have an Apple device. If not, go ahead and send me a direct message by clicking on my profile picture and clicking where it says say hi. And you can just send me a thumbs up or a hand wave or just a yes, whatever you want. I believe most of us will have had this experience because we're all human beings and we experience everything, like a lot of the things, the same. So do you catch yourself going down dark rabbit holes that leave you anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck? Now, what I mean by dark rabbit holes is your brain gets, there we go, yes. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the honesty. What this means is that we'll have a disempowered or a lower thought. And what the brain does is the brain will start to pull in like thoughts to that. And when we ruminate too long, this can lead us to depression. It can lead us to anxiety. It can lead us to stuckness, overwhelmed, all the things that I had mentioned before. So most of us, well, I always say most because that's my little disclaimer, but I'm really bold enough to say all of us at some point have had this experience where we think a lower dense thought, something negative, and then, the brain grabs more thoughts like it, and the next thing you know, we are cycling down. We're in a downward spiral. The next question is, do you find yourself spending a lot of time in fear or worry? Now, this is something that not all of us may experience at certain stages in our journey. We could get to the place where we don't really spend a lot of time in there anymore because we have been managing our mind. But if you are somebody who is experiencing this now, it's really important that you recognize it, because really our thoughts create our emotions. There's no way around that. Our thoughts create our emotions. So if we are spending a lot of time in fear or worry, it is because we are not managing the thoughts that we are thinking. So do you find yourself spending a lot of time in fear or worry? I'm always honest with where I'm at with these things. And this is intermittent for me. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And it really depends on how much I'm managing my mind and my thoughts and how much time I'm spending alone, because that's when I do the mind management. So if I've just been way too busy jumping through hoops and managing other things in my life, then I don't have enough time to spend alone to really say, what have I been thinking? Or really, what have I been feeling? And then that always leads me to, what have I been thinking? So I know when I get into a lower place that it is crucial for me to spend some time with myself. So one of the things that came up last night when my husband and I were talking about this at length, because we really dove deep into moods and emotions and what we're feeling around certain things, because he had been dealing with something in his work. And so we had been talking about it kind of all throughout the day, which led to a deeper conversation. Part of that was me saying, I really, need to spend more time alone. Because when I spend more time alone, it doesn't need to be a lot of time alone. It could be a 30-minute walk. It could just be a 20-minute drive. It's not like I have to spend a lot of time alone, but that time alone for me is the space that I do that. And so that's what led to that part of that conversation. Okay, the next one is, do you feel like you can't control your thoughts or they are running your life? All right, let's see the honest people. Let's see the brave, bold ones that can say, yeah, I feel like that right now. Just know that you're not stuck there forever, and that's what this conversation is about. But I would love to see who, okay, good. Thanks, guys. I see you guys sending those up. Awesome. A lot of y'all. Yep. It's a thing. It's a thing that we can really be at the mercy of our thoughts and feel like they're running our life, because they do. They do. And this is not any bad on you, by the way. It's the way you're designed. It's the way I'm designed. And yes, sometimes we can have these yucky little buggers, if I call them, come into our brain. And then, like I said, a mind that is unchecked, emotions that are unchecked can just keep spiraling. And then we can get ourselves into a place that we don't like to be. But please know this above everything right now, anything else that I'm going to share today, the idea that we can spiral down, it is equally true that we can spiral up. So please know that this is doable 100%, or I wouldn't be talking about this with you. And I have felt both experiences, and I have spiraled to a place where I didn't think I could get any lower in my life. And I spiraled myself back up, so much so that I learned, because I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I was very on top of my mind, because I had learned that our mind creates our emotions. And once I learned that, I'm one of those people that it's like, oh, you're not going to get something over on me, So I was like, okay, little mind of mine, I love you. And I got to start managing what's going on up there. And one of the cool things that I discovered from this is that it became my default. It became my default to start to question these things that were coming up and to see if they were real, which was very cool, very enlightened experience, where I was like, oh, wow, like I don't really think things like that anymore, because I had learned to catch, turn around, and let that be the new thing. So it's going to take some discipline in the beginning, you guys. This is really all about discipline. And many of us want to have better experiences in our life, but we're still running around like headless chickens, or managing chaos, or, thinking we can't take time for ourselves, all these type of things. And if we really want true change in our life, this is it's going to require that we sit down with ourselves and we say, okay, what do I need to work on here? Because I am spiraling out of control, which we all can do, by the way. I'm spiraling out of control right now. I don't like the way I'm feeling. Life looks scary. People look scary. I don't have any hope, whatever it might be for you. Understand that you can spiral up, and it's not as hard as you think it is. Remember the other day when I said that I watched a video of a new neural pathway forming, and in that video, they did a countdown of 15 seconds. And it was so cool to watch under a microscope what happens in the brain and when those new neural pathways formed. And I'm hoping it wasn't AI. It didn't look like AI, but they counted backwards from 15 and then boom, they started to form. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. So cool. I would love to know more about that. I told my husband the other day, I said, you know what? I would love to go back to school. He goes, why, to get a degree to do this? I go, no. He goes, just to learn. And I said, yeah, I'm just a learning junkie. It just feels good to me. But I want to tell you guys that it is through this learning and through my natural curiosity that I've been able to change my life. Again, didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I was just getting curious about things. Thanks for all the love coming up, you guys. I do see you. I just got naturally curious, and I am naturally curious, I guess I should say. And I've always wanted to learn. I remember when I was doing hair, and first, way, way, way in the beginning, and I had gone to college for some time. I always say I have a PhD in nothing because I kept changing my majors. So I have like a boatload of credits that really didn't amount to anything. But I remember on my off days, and this is before kids, this is living in an apartment, life is very simple. I remember going to the library and getting books. I would get books on all kinds of things just because I wanted to learn more. This is pre-internet, obviously, or right at maybe the beginning stages. I think it was like a year or two before the internet. And it wasn't about self-help, by the way. I was getting like medieval castles, books like that. But at any rate, when we have this natural curiosity, I want you to understand that anything that you research and that you draw into yourself like that, it's going to change you in some way because now you have new information, which is one of the reasons why I give these talks Monday through Friday, is just to share information with you all so that you can do with it what you will. But sometimes when we learn a new concept like, oh, you know what? I can manage my brain. Like I can literally not be at the mercy of this little thinking machine up inside of my cranium. Wow, that's pretty cool. And then you start to practice it. And when you start to get cool results from it, it's like, ooh, and that's when you want to double and triple down, right? That's what happened to me. I started to get cool results based on practices that I was doing in the world. And it was from all kinds of things. And I was just like, well, let me try that out. That sounds like a good thing. But I was disciplined in it. I didn't fart around with it. I was on a quest to feel better. I was on a quest to break habits and patterns that were in my life. Didn't know that it was habits, mostly knew that it was patterns. And then things started to change. And I was like, okay, there is something to this and I need to learn more. And so my learning still goes to this day. As you guys know, I talk about a lot of informational podcasts and things that I watch because that's interesting to me. It's my wheelhouse. It's my love. It's my passion. And it doesn't mean it has to be for you as well. However, if you are somebody who wants to change your life, there are ways to do it. There's a lot of information out in the world. I just do implore you to research a little deeper because sometimes we don't know if what we're watching is AI. For example, I'm a longtime follower of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I think I went to a seminar just a talk of his way, way back in the day. I was probably in my early 30s. So that's how long, and I'm, later 50s. But now I see videos on YouTube and it'll say picture of Dr. Joe. It'll be kind of his voice. And I'll listen to the thing. I'm like, this is not Dr. Joe. And it'll say something like, get your dream partner or find the love of your life. And it's all under the guise of Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe doesn't talk about finding your dream partner ever. He doesn't talk about finding the love of your life ever. This is not what this man is about. So just be careful. I always say go to legit sites of people and just be careful what you're bringing in, because this is, with this new AI technology out there, it can be a little scary. It can be very confusing. Just be mindful about what information that you're taking in. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. One last question is, do you find yourself getting lost in what if thoughts that spiral into fear, worry, or anxiety? Okay, just another question to ask yourself, a little self-inquiry. I can what if, but it doesn't always look like what if. It's just like, this could happen. I don't go, what if this happens? It's not always like that, but I could be like, oh my gosh, this could happen. I'm pretty good about those these days. I really am quite managing of those these days. But here's the thing, you guys, we're going through life, we're watching social media, we're listening to people talk, and those things will spur thoughts inside of us. How can they not? Because we're listening to something, it's going to spur a thought inside of us. It could be watching a movie. Have you ever watched a movie and then had a similar dream? Somewhat like the movie I did recently. I watched some movie and then I had this crazy dream. And I just got to tell you this because it's funny. At some point, I can wake myself up from dreams when I don't like them. I'm not doing this. This is what I say. I'm not doing this. And then I wake myself up. In this particular dream, I did not like what was happening. Thanks for all the emojis coming up, you guys. I see you consistently joining in, and I really, really appreciate it. I like knowing that you're here. I won't tell you the dream because it's just too long and involved, and it's not private. I could tell you it, but it's just long and involved. And I want to stay on topic. But during this dream, I did not like what was happening, but my husband and I were working together in this dream, and then all of a sudden, he's gone. And I'm like, I'm calling his name, Doug, where are you, Doug? And he's gone. So what I said in my dream was, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to wake up. But right then in my dream, he was trying to start a vehicle because he was trying to get us out of whatever situation we were in. And I saw him like through the back windows of sort of a van-like thing. And I saw him kind of bent over like to the right, and I could hear the engine trying to turn over, and then it started. And you know what I said in my dream? I'm like, oh, okay, he started the car. I'll keep going. Because I was going to bail on the dream. I was like, nah, I don't like this. But you see how I was managing my mind even within my dream. Isn't that wild? And this is all the time. I wake myself up from dreams all the time. How did I learn to do that? Because I learned that you can. I learned that you can. And I learned this a long time ago. It was Merv Griffin or Donahue, some show in 1985. Because I know I was 17. I remember what was happening at the time. And I watched some show where they had an expert on, and the guy said, like, even when you're asleep, it's still you. It's still your brain. You can control your brain. And at that time, I was having repeated nightmares based on a situation that had happened in my life. Big scary guys were chasing me with, the hoods and the cloaks and the, 14-inch glittering knife and the moonlight and all this stuff. I stopped in my dream thinking if I stop running, this knife is going to go through me. Nope. I stopped in my dream. I turned around. I told the thing, I'm going to be honest, I told it to F off, and boom, I woke up from that dream. And I never had another nightmare after that. And I thought, okay, there is something to this. So again, I talk a lot about my College of Kristen, where I really, really dove deep into these type of things, but I have been doing these things my whole life. And that's one of the things that I learned that was like probably the beginning of managing your mind, although I didn't call it that. I just said, you can stop yourself in nightmares. I didn't call it that. But not only can we manage our mind in the daylight hours, we can manage our mind while we're sleeping. And I love that I have that ability now, because I don't want to sit and be at the victim of a dream that I'm not enjoying. I don't want that. Now, I do know that oftentimes dreams can be indicators. The feelings of the waking hours can come, that we might be ignoring, can come up in our sleeping hours. They can come through our dreams. So I will question myself, like, okay, the dream in this or the feeling in this was this. How can I relate that to my daylight? Like, where in my life am I feeling this particular thing? But sometimes it's not. It's just, like I said, we watched a movie and this dream was kind of similar to the movie. Yeah, we watched a movie, the dream was similar to the movie. And so I knew that's where that one came from. All right, so that was a big, huge introduction. But what's important to understand, the thesis statement of all of this is that we need to manage our minds, because our minds are the command center of our entire life experience. The command center. That's where it all happens, all up in that brain. Every emotion we feel, every action we take, and every result we create begins with a thought. And when the mind runs amok, when the mind runs unchecked, when it's filled with fear, when it's filled with worry, when it's filled with comparison, when it's filled with self-doubt, self-criticism, you name it, the list goes on. It can pull us into anxiety, and it can sabotage our confidence, and it can distort reality. Our mind can distort reality. This is huge and something to really think about, because if you believe something that is actually an echo from your past that your brain is replaying, and then you're placing it on a current situation in your life, you could be distorting reality, because that may not be happening at all. But your brain is going, this sort of, kind of, sort of looks like that thing in the past. So I'm going to start filling you with a lot of fear, doubt, worry, negativity about this thing, because my job is to keep you safe. So I'm going to have you try to steer away from that thing. But the problem is that we go, oh my God, it's true. It's real. It's a thing. Really? Is it though? Is it though? Is it though? Something to ask yourself. Also keep in mind that managing our mind doesn't mean we can control every single thought we have. It's truly about becoming aware of what's running the show behind the scenes. It's learning to observe that mental chatter. Some psychologists termed it monkey brain. It's observing that mental chatter without identifying with it, calling it real, believing it, and allowing it to run the show. Okay? This is about choosing the thoughts that deserve your focus and releasing thoughts that need to be let go of. Things that are causing a darker, deeper feeling inside of you that is not serving you. When we manage our mind, we regain our power of choice, agency, sovereignty. We get back in control of our lives. We become more intentional than reactive. Intentional has become one of my favorite terms as of late. I've been intentional, but I never really spoke it out loud like that. I'm going to be intentional with this. For some reason, for Kristen Brown, the way my brain works, may work for you, may not. When I say that, I'm actually training my brain. I'm saying I'm going to be intentional about sugar. I'm going to be intentional about my thoughts. I'm going to be intentional about fill in the blank for you. Just saying that out loud, we're actually starting to train our brain at that moment. We're telling our brain we want to be intentional. We are going to focus on this area. So the brain now has a message that it's been alerted to. And then let's say the opportunity for sugar comes up. We can be intentional and say, do I really want this sugar or do I want, rather than being on our autopilot of, oh, I always order dessert after dinner. We are breaking the habit. We are stopping ourselves by merely claiming that we want to be more intentional about and saying it a lot. My husband and I we're like our little buddies right now in this regard. And we talked about this last night. I'm going to be more intentional about this. And he said, I'm going to be more intentional about this. And it was ways that we needed to manage our mind, because we could see that we had kind of spun out into certain directions. And this wasn't about each other. It's just about our own life and goals and our own paths. So speaking that to each other, we can also be each other's accountability partner. Like, how was your mind today? What did you do with your mind today? How did you do with your mind today? Well, you know what? I sat down, I did this, or I had a meditation, or I wrote down some thoughts, or I questioned some thoughts. So being intentional is a huge part of this journey. And again, it's about claiming agency over your life. Remember that we can reset the default thinking mode in our brain. We have the ability to reset that default thinking mode. Our brain is neuroplastic and we can train it. So I'm going to talk about how to locate some of these negative thoughts. I brushed upon this already briefly, and that was by noticing your emotion. A huge part of this is noticing our emotion, noticing when we're afraid. It's also noticing where we're dragging our feet or we're procrastinating. When we go, what's happening here? Okay, well, I'm not motivated, or I'm dragging my feet, or I'm procrastinating, or I'm scared, or I'm resistant to, or I'm not doing the thing that I said I was going to do, or I'm anxious, or I'm depressed. When you locate that core feeling that's rising up for you, the next step is, what am I thinking? 100% of the time. What am I thinking? What is creating this within me? And if you're honest with yourself, you will locate it, and you will be honest with yourself, and you'll say, you know what? I've been thinking I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough in whatever department. I've just been thinking I'm not good enough. When you think something like that, now you've located the thought, you know what you're working with. And of course, I always love Byron Katie's 4-question in the turnaround, which I'm going to share with you right now. The first question is this thought true? Sometimes we want to say yes. So the second question is, can I know that this thought is 100% unequivocally without question true? Most of the time it's no. I will say probably the majority of the time, if you're having a suffering thought, it is no. Okay, now I know that thought's not true. The next question is, how do I feel when I think this thought? Well, obviously I feel anxious, fearful, stuck, I procrastinate, whatever, the list goes on. And the fourth question is, how would I feel without this thought? I would feel free. I would feel this. I would feel that. I would feel the other thing. Okay. So then the next thing to do is to create a turnaround statement. So with something like, I'm just not good enough, you could turn it around to, I am capable and worthy, and trying is how I learn and grow. Isn't that a much better feeling thought than I'm not enough? I am capable and worthy, and trying is how I grow. Let's use another one. I'll start when I feel ready. Okay, what's a turnaround to that? I can start now, knowing that taking action is how I gain confidence and momentum. You see how we just added something completely different than that? Because a lot of times people feel like they need to be ready. I need to be ready. I need to be ready. I need to be ready. I've heard people say this and they were never ready because they think there's going to be some magic that's going to come in from the outside world that's going to make them ready. It's your brain that makes you ready. It's your brain that makes you ready. Now, there could be a situation, circumstance, something somebody says that all of a sudden you're like, I feel ready. But unless you're taking in the other, outside information, you may never feel ready. You're just going to stay stuck looping in the same circle over and over and over again. Looping sucks. It's just like buffering on your computer. Have you ever had that? Or your phone? Or your phone, it just won't load. It just won't load. It just buffers and buffers and buffers and buffers. It can be very, very frustrating. So this is where we have to know that we have power. You have to train your thoughts and to think differently, which ultimately will make you feel differently and lead you to the outcomes that you desire, eventually, somehow, some way. All righty. Dr. Roberts said he looks at it as a new opportunity. Paula said she changed her major about at least 5 times. Yep. Me too, girl. Is there a good book on managing your mind? What about if the fear and worry is real? Okay. Gosh, I highly recommend people following Byron Katie and learning her stuff. And she has, her website is byronkatie.com or thework.com. Definitely. Also, the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Okay, and then she asked, what if the fear and worry is real? Paula, this answer may surprise you. Hear me out. Unless the fear or worry there is a lion running down the street and coming to eat you, then it is perceived. Okay? Your brain is making it a worry because you can choose your thoughts around anything. We can choose our thoughts no matter what is going on. Now, I know that can be hard. That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. That's a really big concept for us to understand that. I'm trying to think of an example real time in my life that has happened. Let's say one of my children are going, oh, thank you. Paula said it makes sense. So let's say one of my children are going through something. One of them is actually recently, and I could feel fear rising up for me. I can feel the fear and the worry. And I could say it's real, because I can find all the evidence in the world to make that real. But I can say, instead of, oh, I'm worried about this in this regard, I could say, God, source, universe has them. They are right on path. They're exactly where they need to be, learning the lessons that they need to be learning to grow. I could also say everything is purposeful and this will work out beautifully. I can also say I will be here for them if they should need. You see what I'm saying? So rather than ruminating on what could be the problem, I find something that feels better. And I will say, thank you. Paula said she loves those. This is where my spirituality comes into play big time, because I have a lot of faith in God's source universe, energy, unconditional love, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. I have a lot of belief in this energy that swirls in all through things. And it is through that belief system that I have that I'm able to draw from, because that has led me through some of the darkest times of my life. And it has proven time and time again to get me through. So that's why I call myself a spiritual and empowerment life coach, because that part of it for me is big and it's real and it's a massive part of my life. If I didn't have that, I think that would be problematic for me. But I know, in fact, you guys know, when my life was crumbling all around me, looking at being broken homeless with 3 kids in tow, scariest thing that could ever happen to me at that time. Man, just it was the thing that floored me. Okay. I could have just sat in that. And I remember the moment when I was like, you know what? There's a power greater than me. There's an energy that can lead me and guide me. I'm going to trust this without question. And that became my goal. And everything went boop, 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 right into place. It really works. Stephen just said, if the fear seems real, ask if this is true. What can I do about it? Worry is not doing something. Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah. Sometimes there's something we can do about it. Sometimes it's physical, but sometimes it's mental. We can control this. We can decide how this is going to look. And I'm telling you, there's some instances in my life where there were some really, really rough things. Like, the day that my mom called me and told me she had cancer. And I literally hung up the phone and hit my knees. I hit my knees. I was sobbing. I was freaking out. And then I said, you know what? I could feel it. I'm like, this is going to take her out right away. This is doable. And I maintained that positive mindset for the entire time. All right. So my point is there was other things that had happened too that were extremely scary to me. And I was like, nope, I'm going to be guided and led. Everything is purposeful. Everything's on time, blah, blah, blah. And those things really helped me to center myself in those times. But also what it did was it cleared space for me to receive my intuition and to do the things, to be guided by my higher power, because I had to clear that out first. Because when that fear is screaming in our face like that, and our nervous system is jacked and hijacked, we don't think clearly, because the prefrontal cortex goes offline. The amygdala is now online and the prefrontal cortex goes offline. And I also believe that our intuition goes offline, which, from what I hear and understand, don't quote me on this, that comes through the pineal gland. So I think everything, certain part of the brain starts lighting up and it turns, it dims the other parts of the brain. So by me managing my thoughts around certain things, it has helped me to navigate those situations in a more fluid and clear, clean type of way. Alrighty, so let me give you some more examples. What if this doesn't work out? What if someone's ruminating on, what if this doesn't work out? What if this doesn't work out? What if it doesn't work out? You could change it into something like, every attempt teaches me something valuable, and I can handle whatever happens. One of my favorite trends right now on social media is, you have survived 100% of your bad days. Think about it. You have survived 100% of these rough things that you've gone through. You're going to make it through this too. You absolutely are going to make it through this too. That's a mind shift that is amazing. It's powerful. I remember telling you guys this story where when I started dating again after my College of Kristen, remember, single and celibate for as long as it took, I decided, took around 2 years to where I felt like something had changed and I was better rooted in myself and was going to be able to handle myself better in the romantic relationship department. But then when I had the thought one day, well, maybe I'll start dating again, fear crept in. What if? Oh my God, you could get hurt again. It went on. And I remember the moment and I said to myself, and Kristen, you have a PhD in overcoming pain. You have a PhD in overcoming rough stuff. So what? Boom, that fear went away and I was able to date, and now I'm married. I've been with my husband for 13 years now. I dated one guy before him, and I would have had that experience if I just rolled around in the fear of what could happen. Oh my God, I could be cheated on again. I could be left again. I could be abused again. This could happen again. I had to trust that the work that I did on myself was going to see me through. That's the whole purpose of it. And trust my intuition and trust my newfound strength. My newfound ability to say, oh, heck no. Homie, not playing with that. Alrighty, so let's keep going. Let's say, life is hard. Life is hard. I hear people saying that all the time. Well, life is hard. I will not adopt those words. I won't do it because I know that my thoughts create my experience. And I will tell you, and I mean this second half of my life that I'm in right now, having learned what I've learned so far, I'm like, to heck with that. Life is easy. Life is easy. Life is peaceful. Everything comes to me that I want easily and effortlessly. I do not have to struggle. I could think life is hard, or I could think something different. I don't want to think life is hard. Here's the turnaround. You can think life is full of challenges and I have the strength to navigate them. I know exactly what to do. I'm in control of my mind. Do you see how much different that feels than life is hard, or nothing works out, poor me? Well, guess what? You're going to get more of the same. Doggone it, I don't want more of the same. I don't. The more that I learned about the mind, the more I learned about thoughts create things, which is also Mike Dooley, huge law of attraction guy out there in the world. He does Notes from the Universe. Mike Dooley, he holds up 3 fingers. Every time he gives a talk and he's on video, he just holds up 3 fingers. And that means thoughts create things. 3 words. Thoughts create things. He just holds up his fingers all the time. He says it all the time. Other people say that all the time too. So if thoughts create the things, if thoughts have an energetic frequency to them, which means I'm going to attract things to me that are matching that energetic frequency, do you think that I want to sit in a low vibe frequency? Oh, hell no. No. And disclaimer time, like I said in the beginning of this talk, sometimes these little thoughts go by and they're like, do, 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 do. Don't look at me. Don't look my way, but I'm going to run the show over here. Do, do, do. There's little quiet, little subtle thoughts go on, and I don't recognize them right away. But then I start to recognize contrast. Contrast in the law of attraction vernacular means we are having experiences that we don't want. They're the opposite of the experiences that we want. That's what contrast is called in the law of attraction world. So if I'm experiencing contrast, which is, why isn't this happening? And I'm doing it like that, you guys, because I feel like that sometimes. Why is this thing again? Why is that? And sometimes I get myself into a little pity party. Absolutely. And then I remember, this is your contrast, sis. This is your contrast. What are you thinking about? And always, 100% of the time, I recognize it. Yep. But it was those subtle ones behind the scenes. It was one that built on another. It was one little passing thought that kind of floated by like a feather or a butterfly on the breeze. And then another one came with it. And then there was another one. And then there's this entire clan of these thoughts that have now taken up space in my mind. Why do thoughts create things? By the way, This is neuroscience backed now. This is scientifically backed now because we have an energetic field that extends around our heart. Now, every single expert I've heard, this field is a little bit different in size. Okay, some people say 5 to 8 meters. Everybody says something different. The point is, we have an energetic field that extends from our heart. This has been measured. It has been tested. It is real. The heart is what feels emotions. So if we're having a thought, and this is heart-brain coherence here, if we're having a negative thought, the heart's going to feel the emotion, and that is going to have an energetic signature to it that it's going to extend out in this field from our heart. That field then pulls in like signatures, and that is what our experience is. So this is my favorite thing right now. This is not just theory, law of attraction theory that someone has to get on board with. This is measured scientifically. So if my thoughts are going to create emotions that are going to create an energetic signature, and I'm going to attract more things like that to me, oh, hell no. I don't want more of those things. And that's where the mind management comes in. This is where we get very, very clear that we can heal. Guys, I have healed things in my body. I have healed things in my body that I didn't want to have anymore. I'm not your doctor. I have to put that disclaimer here. Go do the research yourself, learn about it yourself, and decide if it's right and true for you. But I have literally gotten to this space where if I'm having something, like remember I told you guys about the dots, that I call them dots. So I get little dots on me. They're like little teeny tiny blisters from when I eat certain foods. I decided I didn't want to have that anymore. I just don't even want to have that anymore. I could have just stayed with, preservatives give me dots. I could have just stayed with that. And I decided, no, I don't even want these anymore. So I declared them gone. And every single time that they came up, I declared them gone. I was like, nope, not doing this anymore. I'm declaring these gone. Felt gratitude for having them gone. I sat in the pure belief that they were never going to happen again. I haven't had dots in, I don't even know, a month or two. I think I had one creep up and I said the same thing again. Nope, not doing this. Not doing this. My daughter, I don't know what it's called. I always get the name wrong. She had, maybe it was psoriasis under her underarms. She's like, look, Mom, lifts her underarms up. It was like this big, angry looking red patch under her arms. Look, Mom, lift up both arms. Psoriasis, 1000% gone. I said, honey, what did you do? I quote you not. She said, I willed it away. I wonder where she got that from. Declare it so, baby girl. You don't want that anymore. You don't have to have that anymore. This was like, 5-6 months ago. She showed me when I saw her recently and she was in a tank top. I said, is your psoriasis still gone? If that's the name of it. I think that's what it was. She goes, yeah, lifts up her arm. I was like, girl. And she had it in other places on her body too. Gone. She did not take a medicine. She did not change anything. She said, I don't want this anymore. Now, that's big and deep and not my field of expertise, but I want you to understand that managing our mind around certain things, it feels a little fearful at first. It feels a little crazy at first because you're like, I don't really believe this. Well, that's where the work comes in. That's where the work comes in, where you do the research yourself. You discover things. Again, Dr. Joe all day long. Dr. Joe Dispenza with a Z. Dispenza with a Z. Check him out, but check out his real work, not the AI stuff out there. Listen to his lectures. He's going to explain all of this to you. He even has he does retreats 5-6 times a year where he takes people through these things and people are having these miraculous healings that are happening. Again, there's a lot of people that are fighting this in the world. Western medicine doesn't like this. And he always says, for particular cases, sometimes we need Western medicine with this. But at any rate, I'm jumping right on board that. When I started learning about this, I'm like, all right, let's do this thing. I've healed other things in my body from it too. I'm like, I don't want this experience. But it took me working on the belief system about it. Could this really be? All of the things till I got to the space and got enough information and knowledge within me that I was like, yeah, this is unequivocal to me. But do I do it all the time, you guys? You'd think I'd be running around all day long. No, because I forget about it, because life gets busy, because other thoughts come in, the do thoughts come in. So this is why we call it mind management. Just like you have to manage your family and your kids, you have to manage your employees, you have to manage your pets. It's an ongoing process. You have to manage your health. Mind management is an ongoing process. This is why it's important to be able to set aside some time every day to be with yourself. And this is not something you need to tell people about. I don't tell people about not even my close family members. Like my daughter, she didn't tell me she was getting rid of her psoriasis. She just did it and told me later. I do the same thing because, and this is really important, and I've heard this from many, many experts in the world as well, the big ones out there that have the massive followings, they have said this as well. Because when we tell other people what we're doing, their fear, their disbeliefs will come in, and it can taint our newly forming hope or faith. See what I'm saying? When we're a little rocky, we're a little wobbly, and somebody comes in with some negativity about that thing, or even just a look on your face like, oh, okay. Especially if we're people pleasers and we're very attached to what other people's expressions on their face and things like that. So many times I don't share things with people unless I am 1000% sure that they can hold that vision with me. I told you guys recently that a former coach of mine who, I forgot what I learned from her. She does a lot of things, but anyway, she's huge energy. And her son recently had an accident and he had a brain injury. And she was like absolutely blatantly clear. She's like, we do no negativity on this. And we, because she was giving us updates all the time. Every time I shared always something that was about the vision of the future. Always. Because I'm not going to think, and she didn't even share about how it happened at first. She has since shared, but she didn't even share how it happened at first because she didn't want other people coming in and saying things about that. I don't blame her because she was working so hard to manage her mind because she was scared to death. She said she couldn't even be in the hospital with him. She couldn't stand 5 minutes at a time looking at her son in that physical state. This child, I don't know how old he is. He's a teenager. I could venture a guess 14, 15. I don't even know. But somewhere in that, I've seen pictures of him now. Doing fantastic, doing great. It's basically a miracle healing for the books. But look at all the energy. Look at all the thoughts. And for me, I just 100% imagined him whole and healed. Even better than before. She said, now this is interesting, even better than before is what we've all been holding. She said he has very acute hearing now. She says it's like bionic hearing. Isn't that wild? It's just crazy. But anyway, he's doing great. He's home now. And we're going to continue on. So we're going to talk about powerful questions that we can ask ourselves. Powerful mind management questions. But first, we're going to pop in Miss Imani.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, this is a great topic. An example I'll use right now is it's been 4 months since my doctor has been trying to get a surgery approved for me. And the insurance company just kept denying it, not medically necessary. And even though my symptoms, were getting worse and kept getting denials, I was like, I already know I'm having the surgery. No one can tell me I'm not having the surgery. It's needed. It's beneficial. This is just a delay. This is a test. It's going to get overturned. And yeah, with each, denial, I kind of was like, I'm still going to have the surgery. And I didn't tell everybody about it because I learned that before. When I would tell people what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing, they would just say, well, you're not healed yet because you don't believe in God enough. And I would be like, I beg to differ. But at first that used to hurt me really bad. It's like, how can I not believe in God enough? I'm still here. I walked away from 2 near fatal car accidents 20 years apart. What do you mean? I don't believe. He's the reason I'm here. He's the reason I get to do what I do. Well, they put in the 4th appeal And they said it'll take 60 days for a decision. I said, it's not going to take that long. The plan year is almost over. I've met my deductible. I've made my out of pocket. They paying 100% for this baby. It's happening. I kid you not. 4 months of 3 appeals, I got denied. 3 days, the 4th one was overturned.
Oh, I hear your clap. I hear your, was it this?
Won't he do it?
I saw you.
And even the doctor's office was like, Ms. Harris, we wasn't sure this email we got was real because they've denied it all the way up to this point. And they said it was going to take 60 days for a decision. I was like, won't he do it?
Don't tell me I don't believe in God.
This Monday, And yeah, it's a major back surgery, but I already know it's going to go well. I already have declared that every person who's responsible for my care is going to be compassionate. They're going to be empathetic. They're going to be understanding. They're going to meet my every need. Everything is going to go well. I'm going to get a ride there and back. I'm going to get the help I need for the next 3 months because I'll be out for 12 weeks. I just refuse to think anything different.
And they're intelligent. They're great at what they do. They're rested and they're clear-minded.
All of the above, because even my
and they follow their intuition.
Yes, and my neurosurgeon is a great neurosurgeon. I heard great things about him after I was assigned to him, because I'm just like, oh, okay, Dr. Logan, okay, that's great. But I would tell my other doctor, like, oh yeah, she's real good. He's the best. I'm like, thank you.
Awesome.
I got a new neurologist. She spent almost 2 hours on my first visit with her. That's unheard of.
Oh, wow.
You can get 30 minutes with people. 2 hours. She explained everything. She went over every part of my medical history. She's like, let me ask you a question on this. Have they even considered this? And I'm just like, no. She's like, okay, well, look at this. My new primary care doctor spent an hour with me. That's unheard of. She even said, Ms. Harris, I don't even bring my cell phone in the room because I'm giving you 100% of my focus and attention. I said, what?
Thank you for her. I love that.
Yes.
Doctors are getting so tired of the system. I'm telling you. I know so many that are so tired of this system.
Yeah, they're ready to just bow out. And she's like, I don't care what they say. I know what I need for my patients, and I know I need to be there uninterrupted.
Yes.
She even called me with my lab results. That's unheard of.
Wow. I love her.
All of it came to me wanting better, me needing doctors who were understanding, compassionate, caring. We're going to listen to my concerns. They're going to be proactive, not reactive. They're not going to just throw the, steady thing that our medication. And she even said that she's like, medication's great, but she's like, it's not the end all be all when you can do something differently.
That's right.
What? Who does that? And just with all of it, I'm just in awe because I asked for it. I searched for it. I didn't give up. I didn't just go with whatever answer. I advocated for myself 10 toes down, and look what happened. But it all started with my perspective and my perception of the situation. And look.
Oh my gosh, what a great story. And I had to go find my gold bell for that one. Oh my gosh. I stopped ringing my bell because I felt like it was too loud, but look at all the love coming up on the screen. So good. Yes. Imani, I'm going to hold that. If you want to at some point back channel me, if it's not too private, the date that this is going to be, definitely going to be walking in that energy. Absolutely. Very cool. Paula sent a message and I liked what she said. She said that she's told God, let your hands be their hands. I love that. That is like, let flow through. That's one of the prayers, if you will, that I say when someone's having a procedure or something. I'm always like, let God source energy flow through them. Let it flow through them. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. So I do have someone else in the queue that I'll be bringing up shortly, but I want to get through this first. When it comes to mind management, there's 3 things that we can do that are super, super helpful. And these are the, external, well, not really external. One of them is not external, but they're practice that we can do. And one is to limit negative influences. We hear about this a lot, you guys. So I won't spend a lot of time here. Don't hang out with the negative Nellies and the negative Neds. All right. Limit your time with them, especially if you're in a place where you're a little fragile and you can be not manipulated is not the word, and not coerced. That's not the word, but influenced very easily. I've been in those spaces where I could be influenced really easily just for no reason, like just a look on their face or one sentence that they say, and I'm now influenced. So limit time with negative influences. That also means social media. That also means, what are you filling your time with? So if you're someone who has a money fear and you're always thinking there's not enough money, and then you're watching the stock markets and you're watching the economics like crazy, it's just up and down and up and down and up and down and up. And what's that doing to you? What's that doing to you? It would serve you so much better to put that stuff down, put it down, and start creating helpful, positive thoughts. Because remember, the thoughts create emotions and emotions create energy. That goes out into the world and that brings it back to you. It's not a matter of this is a big topic, you guys, and it might ruffle some feathers, but this whole reality that everybody wants to talk about. It may seem reality, it may, but there's this energy of the world that you possess that can actually shift an experience. So just keep that in mind. That's all. The next one is to practice gratitude. I'll tell you something. There is no better way to be in gratitude. No better way to shift your energetic frequency than to practice gratitude all day long, every day. I'm so grateful I got this parking spot. I'm so grateful this store is so well lit. I'm so grateful that that I have a cart to push in the store to hold my things. I'm so grateful that person moved out of the way and to let me by. I'm so great. See what I'm saying? Like, we think it has to be all the big things. I'm talking gratitude all day long. You can train your brain to be in gratitude. Holy moly, you become a magnet to good things because gratitude is the highest frequency. When we're in gratitude, love, appreciation, freedom, that's the highest frequency. And it's in that state. And get this, you guys, when you're in gratitude prior to the thing happening, I'm so grateful that this is working out for me. Everything's going to work out for me. I'm so grateful that this person, I think about someone that I love and something that they want, something that I want for them. I picture it done already. I'm so grateful that they're going to find the love of their life and the wait is going to be worth it. Gratitude in advance. I think Neville Goddard calls it living from the end, living from the wish fulfilled. I think that's what it is. Living from the wish fulfilled, something to that. I'm not quoting him correctly. He talks about the wish fulfilled a lot. But anyway, getting yourself into that mindset, it takes practice. It does, because we have brain grooves and brain patterns of thinking a certain way. But remember, at the top of this talk, I said, we can retrain our brain. That's what it says right here. Train your mind. The brain is neuroplastic. We can retrain it to be like in gratitude and in presence all the time. So the last one I'm going to say, and I'll bring up my next guest, is meditation. Almost every talk I talk about meditation because it is that powerful. Man, I hear other people on social media and stuff, they'll be like, oh my God, meditation, how it changed my life. I'm like, yep, I know. It's something that I think it should be prescribed. Honestly, I think it should be prescribed. If all of my coaching clients that I work with, they don't meditate, that's what I write on the prescription sheet. Meditate is one of the first things, because that's how we calm things down. That's how we slow things down. That's where we put the prefrontal cortex back online. That's how we get out of survival mode. That's where we are not at the mercy of this autopilot that we have all the time. Where we can actually, because our brain is slowing down, we can actually stop and ponder. Meditation, I've given the talk on it so many times on the predecessor app and on this app. Just scroll through my list. You will find one. I did one about 2 weeks ago. Oh, also, I uploaded it on my YouTube channel. Doesn't have any video because I don't film my talk sitting here talking with you guys. It would be boring. I'm just sitting on the ground with a blanket over my lap, holding my phone in front of my mouth. So meditation all day long, you guys, it really helps us to manage the brain. It's a huge thing. Plus, we can meditate on the better feeling thoughts. Like, we can literally meditate on, instead of life is hard, we can meditate on life is easy. I have sat in meditations and repeated a mantra. That's it. I've done it for questions that I've had. Tell me what's my next best step or what's my next best step. I'll just say that question over and over and over and over again as a mantra. So it almost becomes like a binaural beat because I'm just saying it over and over again in my head. I usually meditate 2 binaural beats. I love those. And to one that feels good to me. So I always recommend that to you guys. You can find them on YouTube. Just type in binaural beats for grounding, for peace, for calm, for whatever, and the list will come up. And then oftentimes when I do that, an answer will come, or I'll say, I am love and I am loved. I am love and I am loved. That's a very, very grounding mantra for me. So you know what? When I walk around in the world with my default thinking, I am love and I am loved, I show up a much cleaner, clearer version of Kristen than I do when I'm walking around going, I'm not enough, nobody likes me. How could I not, right? So consider these things, you guys. This is brain management. This is controlling your mind. This is disciplining your mind to be something that is going to serve you on this journey, not work against you. All right, we're going to bring up, yes, Paula said binaural. Paula, I'll spell it for you. It's BINAU. RAL, binaural, I guess, but it's called, people call it binaural. Sarah.
Hey.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. I was just giving a listen like I always do. And really this time I had like a little bit of time getting ready to watch the kids, but I was able to like jot some thoughts around it. I find when I'm like stuck, because my thing is I get stuck. Like I get in paralysis and I'm scared to move forward. I've had a lot of experience with like failed attempts. And actually I'm a solutionist. Like that's my thing. I'm
Love
always
it.
like getting something out so I can find what the solution is, what the next step is. But for me, like I've tried doing it alone. There's pieces of it I can do alone. And it's like a back and forth until it rings through and I find the solution. Then find the solution and I implement it. Like right now I'm working specifically on my cutoff time for my like nutrition, and it takes a lot. Like my learning style in school, it's like I have to fill out the homework with a pen and paper. Like when I try doing the virtual thing, it's different, like utilizing an app versus writing it down. So I'm like implementing all these tools so I can reprogram this habit. And I'm only focusing on one thing because I like struggle. Not that I struggle, but it just is what it is. I have like ADD and autism and like executive functioning and multiple things. Like I'm not going to be able to make a big change in multiple areas at the same time. What I can do is focus on one and find what works for it, because there's this little tiny groove. I guess like that's the thing, like this time that I get with you, Kristen, the time that I get when I'm like here live on the stage, I'm able to take the things that I've been in between processing in my head, but like shoot it out, verbally say it. So somebody who's on the other line can like be there, whether they're just listening or co-signing or challenging. The verbal part is where I find my solution. And it just goes back and forth, verbal, personal work, verbal. Right now on my dresser, on my nightstand, I have a statement, and it's there because it's nighttime when I struggle with this. And this is the only thing I'm focusing on right now. And it says, I'm learning boundaries around food. So when my brain's like, oh, Sarah, more crunchies or whatever, and it's like I'm in bed, like my sign is there. I have a whole routine that goes after it, but it's in a periwinkle blue, and I wrote it with my purple pen, and it's right there. And I see it when I'm passing all the time. And
Love it.
like those are the little ways I implement and make my changes.
I think you're absolutely correct, though, Sarah, that we can't make multiple lot of changes at one time. If you have more to say, Sarah, you can pop back up again. We can't make them at one time. I've noticed that, and I've heard other people ask other experts in the world about that. I feel, and what I've heard them say is that We really need to focus in one thing at a time, because I have tried to do the whole thing, and that's probably part of my not being successful in certain areas with things, is because I'm like, well, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to work on this, all at the same time. So I've had to pick one and focus on that one. And then when that one gets better or healed or whatever it might be, then I can move to the next one.
I totally relate. I'm somebody who sometimes bites off more than I can chew. And I've just really been digging into, okay, Sarah, you're 40. What have you done historically that worked? And I'm just
Yeah.
picking up those things. I know that for me, it's more managing my mind. I was actually listening to a talk before this, and she was talking about the difference between like a physiological response versus a response that's in your mind, in your head. And that's what used to take up so much space, was all these like chattering thoughts. And now, as the chatter silences, because I've taken time to listen to it and be like, hey, that's like not in my space, I'm working on like replacing the language.
Yeah.
I definitely am working on being more intentional, taking the things I've learned with emotional regulation, like, what are you feeling? What is that? Where is it coming from? And then taking it a step further to, what do I want to be feeling? And what can I do to feel what I want? I'm trying to be more intentional right now.
You're doing all the things, Sarah.
I've been doing them for a bit. There's still things I struggle with. It's like the actual action steps. So I can only focus on one action step at a time. Then I'll bring in everything else and like just keep it hot in my head. And so I love being on Noom Vibe. I love listening to you. I love that your talks kind of like match. It's like a theme for the week. And that's even better for me because I need loads of repetition
I know,
to
we all do.
remember. But then I choose one thing. I'm no longer ruminating on like, this is the horrible thing. It was so this. I'm pulling up the solutions. Like, I know
Nice.
this is resting Sarah. That's like how I am. I'm a solutionist. That's why I'm still here. But I definitely know that the chatter, I'm challenging the thoughts right now. And I'm reframing them and trying to give some statements that I can believe and get behind. And then just one thing I wanted to share, because it was so funny when you were talking about AI. With AI on social media and the memes, it's so funny because it almost seems like it's just too perfect. And you're like, hey. But I love to watch this podcast, and it's a golden retriever and a pit bull, and they host this doggy podcast about training their humans, and it's totally AI, and I love it. It's, I guess, like AI is fun too.
Yes, it is. Yes. I love AI for a lot of reasons.
Me too. It's great. It's a great tool. I like to use it to make little charts and stuff. Anyways, thank you for letting me share.
Two things before you leave. One, I want to highlight what she said, which was statements you can believe and get behind. That's important, you guys. Your language to you matters. So be willing to change words of things to match what resonates with you, what can be powerful to you. And the second thing I want to ask you, Sarah, before you timed out is, how's your ankle doing?
Oh, my ankle's good. I actually just got out of the shower. I'm wrapping up my ace bandage so I can walk in my boot. I'm boot walking.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm in this scar stage. So I'm just like nursing the scar so it'll be minimal, making sure the space is constantly hydrated. I'm doing really well.
Good. I'm so, so, so glad. And did the food and the eating and all of that work out with the refrigerator and everything?
Oh my gosh, we would have to have another chat we don't need to talk about the refrigerator, but everything is working. I'm using my food log, I'm writing it down, and I'm learning what I need to for nutrition.
Oh, you timed out. Okay. All right, Sarah. Well, I'm so glad you're doing good. And I'm just going to say, Mama Brown here, all my kids friends call me Mama Brown. I'm just going to say, and you probably already know this, but I'm just Mama, so I'm going to say it. When it comes to that physical therapy, do it. I'm sure you are, but if you're still in the boot, I'm not sure if you're doing physical therapy yet, but yeah, physical therapy is so important to get that movement back. Oh my God, I just had to say it because that's me. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to leave us now with just some questions. They're great self-inquiry questions. Is this thought helpful or harmful? Is this thought even true, or just a story I'm telling myself? Does this thought empower me or drain me? Would I say this thought to someone I love? What does feeling this thought create in my body? Who would I be without this thought? Is this thought focused on fear or possibility? What's another way I could view this situation that feels more peaceful or empowering? Am I using this thought to protect or to limit myself? And lastly, does this thought align with the person I'm becoming or the person I used to be? Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join me today on this episode of Empower Hour with KB. I love you all dearly. Have an amazing day, and I will see you tomorrow. Much love.